Temi, so you in the beginning mentioned you moved from Nigeria. So, you worked in Nigeria. You have been working in Canada for so long now.
Yes.
What's really different? What's really different between working in these two countries?
Different. I mean, the work culture is different. When I say work culture, it's more like, how things are being done, right? So, because we speak different languages, we have different like normal culture, right? So I'm a Yoruba girl. Yoruba is like those of us from the western side of Nigeria speaking a different language from someone in the east. So you work with people from all over the country, and there are ways you need to know like what makes your manager happy. That's different from like working in Canada, where I mean it's still, I feel like it's still the same principle though, right? So I would say it's different, but not really, right? So in Canada here, it's like understanding the company that you work for and aligning, with them. If they don't align with your values, you don't work for them. If you work for them and they align with your values, then you figure out ways to, succeed in there, right? So for me, yeah, I think that work culture part of it. But in the end, it's like, for me, I think it's more the learning, right? Where it's just work hard. Work hard, whether you're in Nigeria, whether in Canada, or you're in another country. When you do get a job at a company, work as hard as you can, to succeed in that role. If you don't work hard enough, or if you work so hard and and you're still not getting what you want, you leave, you move to another company, right? But if you're in a company and you put you put your efforts in, you put your best effort into it, I think it doesn't matter. You succeed either way, on both of them, right? So yeah, that would be like the one thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was speaking with another software developer here in Canada who moved from a different country. And he mentioned that back in his home country, there is a separate QA team and there is a separate development team. But then here in Canada, that is something he felt, that the developers are supposed to be QAs as well. So you are supposed to own the whole thing and not just a piece of it. Did you feel that as well?
No, actually, I mean, I think that's why I say for me, it depends on the company, right? So when I was Manulife, we had QA and we had QAs, we had developers, we had DevOps, right? But where I am right now, I think because it's a startup, you don't have all the resources that you need, right? So you may have to be the one testing your code, right? You may have to be the one testing the platform itself. So I don't think it matters. And I think I've also heard in Nigeria, sometimes you have the same, where you do everything. So yeah, I wouldn't say that would be the one difference, at least between Nigeria and here. There are companies in Nigeria where, when I was working there as a data analyst / business analyst, I was also doing all the small little things, like writing minutes or, going out for sales and accounts management stuff, right? So really, yeah, I think it ultimately depends on the company and the type of company it is, what stage they're at. And that would be for me, the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the interview process? Was that any different back there?
The interview process. Yeah. So, I mean, the company I was at in Nigeria, the company where I was working at, I remember interviewing with the HR person. It's because it wasn't software engineering related. I didn't do technical interviews or anything like that. They just ask you questions, and the one big difference in Nigeria, to be honest, is they look at your degree a lot, right? So here, maybe a recruiter will pick up your resume and say, oh, she's got a bachelor's in economics and she's a software engineer. Not a big deal, right? Back then, and this was 7 years ago, they pick up your resume. On your resume, you put there that you finished a bachelor's from economics with a first class. There's a lot of assumption around, this person should be smart. I should know what they're doing, right? So think about it. I when I got my job, because I didn't really have much of a job. Maybe I worked after bachelor's for like 1 year, but then after that I went to do my master's. So my first real job was after my master's. So they look, oh, she went to do the master's in economics in UCL in London, okay, and then her bachelor's in economics from Nigeria, like one of the top universities in Nigeria. Great. Okay. We'll interview her and they just drill you to a certain level. But it's like, we know this person can do their job, right? So that might be like a key difference compared to like here, where everybody is almost like equal. They're not looking at, oh, did you finish the first class or if third class or anything like that. And it's not a good thing really back home. And I think things are changing now, a little bit, but, it wasn't great because for people who didn't really do well in school, who were also really smart, because there are a lot of people who didn't have like that academic thing, but they're like super solid people, smart people.
Yeah.
They get, they don't get the same opportunities, right? So yeah, that would be the other thing.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I personally have met people who academically did really, really well, always, toppers of the class. But then when it came to being in the actual work environment, probably, like difficult to deal with, or, not really okay working with others, or respecting their opinion, or, agreeing to disagree, or something along those lines.
That's
So
true.
yeah, and then a lot of people who are average while they are in school, university, but if with the right mindset, they do end up doing really well in their careers.
That's right. That's true. That's right. And that's what I love about being here too in Canada, right? My hopes when I left Nigeria was to be more exposed, to be more challenged. Because, back home, because you already did do well in school, you're, set up in a way to succeed if you do get a job. And so the challenge was not really, really there, right? So I wanted to be more exposed to like, technologies outside of my country or even way of life and all of that stuff. So coming here, and when I graduated from the boot camp and seeing that it didn't really matter what I did, well, like for me, it was like, I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't even have to be in tech, to succeed. I can go into something completely out of, I don't have to have been a science student. Yeah, that's the one thing, because I read economics. So definitely getting into like science roles difficult, right? I think switch the other way if you did science and you wanted to become a banker, easy. Because there's that mindset, oh, science, you're super smart. You can pick anything up. But if you, so yeah, all of those like things, those are like the differences, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I come from India, I moved 7 years ago as well. I felt culturally the working environments were very different. You work in India with a group of people, and then you work here with a group of people. Culturally, it is very different, and it takes time to understand those difference in like those little difference. It takes time to get accustomed to those changes as well. Was there anything that hit you hard, or anything that you felt, oh, this is so different? I'm just me, but then this is so different here.
Work culture. Okay, so when I say work culture different, the one thing that comes to mind too is I made a lot of like really good friends from my workplace in Nigeria, to the point where like one of them came for my wedding from all the way from like Nigeria to the US, which is amazing, right? But here, like, it's almost very, very, very serious and very official. You make some friends along the way, but it's not like people are very into like, we just need to get the work done, and that was for me, especially my first job. Like, I was like, okay, I'm not really, really clicking it with anybody in the office. Everybody's speaking so much English. Everybody's been so formal. You want to set up, like, you want to go for coffee. You see, I'm getting used to it now because I've been here for a while and I'm also a Canadian now. But when I first joined, you want to, go out with somebody, you have to like, oh, do you have time, for us to go for a coffee? That after you ask to take them out for coffee, it may actually not happen for a month. Whereas in Nigeria, if I said, oh, let's go have lunch together, in fact, we always have lunch together. Like, I think that was for me being an immigrant. And I think maybe it was also specific to me because I was an immigrant at the time. So I was adjusting to a bunch of things. I'm still an immigrant. I said at the time. But, but I was so fresh. And, I was just, I don't know how to interact with them. What are the things that we have in common, yeah, there were all these things. And also there were things around, like, you can't talk about your religion in at work. Whereas in Nigeria, it's like, you can talk about anything. Like, we can have differences. You can be Muslim and I can be a Christian, and we can talk about what happened in mosque and what happened in church, and nobody will get upset or nobody will get offended. Do you understand? So, like, yeah, big differences on that regard, like in that regard. But yeah, I'm still adjusting to some of those things, but I'm used to it now. So I made a few friends, like along the way, but like not really, really close friends in that way. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can resonate with the points you mentioned. And I feel a part of it is probably that here, like from A to Z, everything you are responsible to do, like on the personal side of things, right? Even the household chores, you are responsible for everything. So finding time is a challenge because everybody's so busy in their lives, figuring things out,
It's true.
taking care of the family, of themselves, of their pet, of their children, and the spouse, and whatnot.
Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, when you said that, that reminded me of something around, like, back in Nigeria, if maybe my light or something got broken in the house, we just call somebody from
Yeah.
across the street. Hey, can you come up and fix this stuff? And you pay them like small money. But here, like, everybody does everything themselves. You buy IKEA furniture and you have to like spend hours and hours and hours setting it up. My goodness. Okay. So I can't imagine how many small things people have to deal with in their house by themselves. So there's no time to really, really interact, with people outside. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have the weekends, and the weekends also, they just go in a jiffy. They come and go. And then we have Monday again.
That's right. Like, today's Saturday and tomorrow is Sunday, and I'm like, oh God, I need one day off. Yeah.
Oh, this is fun, Temi. All right. Okay. Last question, Temi.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously we know that this field, the software development field itself, is male heavy. There are more males in these jobs than we have females. What tips would you have for anybody out there who is fearing, or who is doubting themselves, or doesn't know how to go about making this switch? Any tips or tricks out there?
For women, right? Mostly.
For women, yes.
Okay. The first place I would say you start with, I want to give something like things that are like super practical, right? For me, I started with, you're an immigrant, you're a mom, or you're a woman. It doesn't even have to be a mom. You're a woman, you're entering a field where maybe there's not a lot of women. Take action right away. So start with small little courses, right? For me, you go on Udemy, you find those small courses, you pay small money for like $14, $20. They do sale all the time. Pick small little courses, like introductory courses into technology, right? Understand the web, how it works. Then the other thing I did was, so the boot camp I joined, I actually did they had like a free introductory boot camp that you go through. So I went through it. I was like, let me just get a feel of what it is like to be like to write code, right? So I did that online. I did like the introductory course. And when I started doing it, like teaching me about JavaScript, about the web and all of that stuff, I realized, oh, this is fun. I think I'm going to enjoy it. Right? The first time I built like a website, I was super excited. So, but that only happened because I took the step. I didn't just read about it. I actually learned about it. Right. So do it, like pick small little things that would just take you 3 hours. Is this something I'm interested in? If not, you move to the next thing. Okay, maybe let me try DevOps. Am I interested in DevOps? Do a small introductory course in that, or you pick something else, QA, or like there's so many different things you can do in tech, right? So identify those things, get into like doing those things right away. And then the other thing is after you spend a month or two digesting the content, you realize, okay, this is something I want to do. Figure out the time that works for you to execute those things. Like for me, it was when I was on maternity leave, right? Because I had the opportunity to spend, like here in Canada, they give you a year of maternity leave, right? Where, I mean, you won't be making zero income. You still be getting something from the government. So if you needed to fulfill needs around the house, you're still able to, or you're also able to learn. So I took that opportunity during my maternity leave. For you or for someone else who's a woman, maybe you don't have kids, maybe it's you really need to take a time off, right? Because you don't have that much pressure to provide. So take time off work. Sometimes you get like some kind of leave that you can take and say, okay, I just really need to figure out my personal life right now. Take that time off, do that learning, invest your time into it. That's right. That's another part of it, right? So making the commitment, doing the boot camp, then there's not just boot camps that exist, right? They're like colleges, right? So what I've also noticed is some other people go through like all this like college, like Conestoga College or like Centennial College. They'll do like that short like post grad diploma and in software engineering or anything they're interested in. And sometimes what happens with going that route is you get the opportunity to do internships, right? So exactly, co-ops, right? So that job part of it, it's more expensive, right? It's a more expensive, but it's an option, right? So for a woman, you're trying to break into it. You don't want to waste too much time. You don't want to give yourself that 6 months of getting a job. Go that route, right? Go do college, go do something that will give you like a co-op option. So because you already know if you pick up anything, you're going to do your best at it, right? So that's like number two, right? So while you've done those, okay, you've done the learning, you're through with that. Next steps, like network ruthlessly, right? Like network, meet people, join meetups, right? In the field where you've decided to go into. So if you're in DevOps, network with people in DevOps, interact with them, use the lingo, right? They're talking about, I don't know, AWS these days, the cloud, use the lingo, talk to them, prepare yourself, make sure you're putting like we've talked about this many times in this like conversation, putting yourself out there, right? Because for men, maybe they don't have to put that much effort, right? They just naturally just say, guy will just say, hey, I've got the job for you, just apply. For women, you need to put more effort into it. Like you need to get there, like get into the nitty gritty, and don't get discouraged by the way it looks, where it's like there's not a lot of people in there, there's not a lot of women in there. You can find your own network of encouraging women who like you're all going through the same phase, you're all doing the stuff together, and you share tips, you talk amongst yourselves. Okay, this is what I did there, and this happened, and then someone will tell you, well, maybe this is how to do it better next time, right? So, then of course, like the other things which would apply to almost everybody is like updating your LinkedIn profile, connecting with recruiters. You're an immigrant, you definitely want to connect with immigrants, connect with recruiters, right? You want to like make sure your LinkedIn is so popular these days. Like I get a lot of, it wasn't as popular 7 years ago though, right? Like my first job as a data analyst was not through LinkedIn, it was through Indeed, right?
Right.
So, but now it's like LinkedIn is the beginning and the end of like
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
Recruiters, grab profiles from there. Even when you do applications, you can just pull everything that you have in your LinkedIn profile into those applications. It's super easy. So you want to make sure your LinkedIn is great, up to date, all your catchphrases at the very top, the keywords you use, like it's very important. All those little things, right? And I've talked about like practicing coding interviews, doing mock interviews, creating a cadence to doing all those things so you build confidence. Like, because as a woman, of course, you need that confidence. You need to feel like you're also a man. I still struggle with it till today, where I feel like I'm not as confident as I should be, but it doesn't matter. Like, I just keep trying to learn how to be more confident, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and also like
Yeah.
like volunteer to mentor other people, volunteer to like teach other people to code. There's
Mhm.
one that I did was ladies learning code here in Canada. They used to do like workshops every weekend. So a few of those weekends I would network. I would go in there and mentor. I wasn't really the one teaching, but I will help other people who were struggling. And that also helped me build confidence,
Right.
right? To say, okay, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not completely clueless, right? I was where these people were a few months ago, but now I'm not there anymore. So it means there's progress, right? So,
Yeah.
and yeah, and measuring your progress, right? When you started out, make sure you're aware of where you were, because that also builds your confidence, right? I've told myself, and I have people around me, like my husband and my sister-in-law, like all these people actually like they help to build my confidence because it's like, what, think about where you were like three,
Yeah.
4 years, 4 months ago, right? It's not the same. So that's why I said, keep doing things to move forward,
Yeah.
right? It's not easy, to be honest. Like it's not easy at all.
Yeah.
But you can't just hold back because it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to really just give it a try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah.
100%. I feel as women, we have all these notions about ourselves, and we remain in this self doubt, most of the time. Others are not doubting us; we are just doubting our own selves.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And there's that thing they call imposter syndrome. I, I personally, I don't know, maybe it ever goes away because I still experience it every now and then, where I ask myself, should I even be a software engineer?
Yeah.
Like, am I in the right place? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a computer science background. Why should, like, am
Yeah.
I even, like, do I even know how to write a function? See, I've written functions like many times, but I still question myself. It's all in the head,
It
right?
is all in the head. Yes.
It's all in the head. So
Yeah.
we have to really learn, and I'm also talking to myself, is I have to learn how to get out of my head,
Yeah.
and just, telling myself, you're good at this. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You don't have to be the best.
Yeah.
You can work towards being the best, but you don't have to be the best at it for you to make moves,
Yeah.
for you to get your first job, for you to, even get your next job after the first one, right? You just have to keep learning. I don't even think even these people, the guys or the people who have been in this industry for long, I don't think they know everything.
Yeah. No, there's no one who knows everything.
That's the thing, right? So sometimes we overthink it,
Yeah.
especially as women. I feel like we overthink it. We want to make sure that I understand JavaScript, HTML, CSS, understand it from beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Like, I think I met somebody that did try to do that. It was like, I have to spend like 6 months learning HTML, CSS. And then after that, I will pick up JavaScript and learn JavaScript for another 6 months. I'm like, you're never going to do this move. You have to take it one step at a time, right? You have to understand how to find the solution to
Yeah.
problems. Oh, you see, that was the one thing I also learned during boot camp is it's not about knowing how to write everything because it's a language, right? It's not about knowing how to write the language fully. It's about knowing how to find the answers
Yeah.
to the problem, right? So It's like, oh, they tell you, we want you to build this button, that can, if you click it 10 times, definitely like poops out, like I said, poop, just brings out one magic, like, what do you call it? Like it bursts into some sort of celebratory, visual that you see. I may not know how to design the button to look exactly they want it to look, but I know how to go online to Google and say, okay, what do I have to write to get this button to look like this, right? There'll be core foundational things you will learn in the boot camp that will help you get to that point, but you don't have to know the entire thing, right? Before you start making moves.
That is true. Yeah. Being a problem solver, right? Finding solutions, knowing where to find solutions from.
Yeah, exactly.
That is important.
Exactly.
And I think that just helps overall as well, right? I mean, life throws so much at everybody. Just finding solutions and knowing that, this is temporary and I will get over this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
being
exactly. Exactly. They just need to learn, like, I'm sure, especially with women, we already solve like problems, so many problems, maybe in your previous role, right? You just need to bring those same skills to engineering, right? Just the same level of detail that you put into everything you do, right? Bring it in. When you get something that you need to work on, make sure you understand it perfectly, at least to a certain level where you can start building it and you won't be building out the wrong thing. And then if you spend a lot of time, and again, if you're a junior engineer, especially when you're a junior engineer, you're going to ask questions, you're going to need support from like senior engineers. I don't think any job expects a junior engineer to do like those hard stuff. I started out fixing bugs, and fixing bugs actually helped me learn the entire like code base, right? So that's how I started. Did it for a few weeks, and then they're like, okay, maybe you can build out small features here and there. They don't just like throw you into like the ring, build the entire application. That's not how it works. You just have to get in there. And when they give you stuff to do, it makes sure that you're communicating and that you're, doing it the way they want you to. If you have better ways to do it, or if you feel like it should be like you have better solutions to the problem, you share your opinion, right? Like just the basic things that apply to everything else, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Temi, this conversation has been so enriching for me as well. Like so many things that you said, I think even though I'm not a software engineer, I think I still can take away so much from all the tips that you give and apply them to my work life.
Yeah, I'm glad. It's all about learning.
Exactly. And then being supportive of each other.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. We are doing this on a Saturday, so a special thank you. I will see you on the other side.
No, yes, I will see you too. Yeah, super. Like, I really enjoyed the conversation. And yeah, I'm hoping that, the next time we're having this conversation, it would have helped a lot of people, and yeah, wishing you the best in everything else that you do too as a recruiter. It's not easy.
Yes. Thank you so much, Temi. Awesome. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. You too.